All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle something that, yeah, it sounds like a boring grammar rule, but it's actually one of the most powerful tools you have for communication, the active and passive voice. And look, getting this isn't just about passing some test. It's about learning how to control your message and point your audience's attention exactly where you want it to go.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with a tale of two sentences. Then we'll meet the active voice and introduce the passive. We'll get into the great subject swap, how it actually works. Then, the big question, why even use the passive voice? And we'll wrap it all up with the final takeaway.
Okay, so, part one, a tale of two sentences. What's the real difference here? And, why should you even care? Let's kick things off with a little puzzle. We're going to look at two sentences. They say pretty much the same thing, but you'll see, they feel totally different.
So really, what is the difference here? I want you to look at these next two sentences. The basic fact is identical in both, but they just hit different, right? As you see them, just ask yourself, where is my eye drawn? Where's the focus in each one? What's that little switch?
Okay, here we go. Sentence A. Argentina exports soybean. Who's the star of that show? It's Argentina, right? They're the one doing the exporting. Now look at sentence B. Soybean is exported. See how the focus just flips? Suddenly it's all about the soybean and the action of it being exported. That's the main event now. Same information, totally different emphasis. And that, right there, is the heart of the active versus passive voice.
All right, part two, meet the active voice. This is all about focusing on the doer of the action. So let's break down that first sentence, the one about Argentina. This is what we call the active voice. Its whole job, its purpose, is to shine a big, bright spotlight on whoever or whatever is doing the thing.
So, to put it simply, in the active voice, the subject of the sentence is the doer. It's the person, the place, the thing that's actually performing the action. It's super direct, it's clear, and it always answers that basic question, hey, who did this?
This is a fantastic example. Local farmers grew fiber crops. Bam! Who's the hero of this sentence? No question, it's the local farmers. They are the ones doing the growing. You can feel the structure, right? Subject, verb, object. Doer, action, thing that gets the action. It's just full of energy and momentum. Okay, so that's active. Now, for part three, let's look at the other side of the coin. Introducing the passive voice. This time we're focusing on the action itself. If active is all about who did it, passive is all about what was done.
So here's the deal with the passive voice. The thing that was receiving the action, well, it gets a promotion. It becomes the main subject of the sentence. And just like that, the focus isn't on who did the action anymore. It's on the action itself or the result of that action. And what about the original doer? Well, you can mention them at the end with the little word by, or, and this is key, they can just vanish if we don't know who they are or if they're just not important to the story we're telling.
See? Look what happened. Fiber crops were grown. Fiber crops is now our subject. But are the crops doing anything? Nope. They're just sitting there, receiving the action. They were grown. Now sure, we could add by local farmers at the end, but the main spotlight has officially moved. It's on the crops now, and on the process of growing.
All right, part four, the great subject swap. This is the how-to part. So how do you actually make this change from active to passive? It's not some kind of complicated linguistic magic trick, I promise. It's actually a really simple formula. Let's break it down. And what's so cool about this is just how simple it is. Seriously, it's a reliable three-step recipe. Step one, you take the object from the active sentence, the thing that received the action, and you make it your new subject. Step two, the verb changes. It always becomes some form of the verb to be plus what's called the past participle of the main verb. And step three, the original doer, you can tack them on at the end with by or just leave them out. That's it. That's the whole move.
And check this out. This formula works no matter what tense you're in. Look here. In the present, exports becomes is exported. In the past, grew becomes were grown. In the future, will reach becomes will be reached. You see the pattern? That little helper verb, to be, does all the heavy lifting for the tense. Is, were, will be, is being. But that main action verb, it just flips to its past participle form every single time. It's incredibly consistent.
Okay, part 5. Why even use the passive? I mean, this brings us to the biggest question of all, right? If active voice is so clear and direct, why on earth would you ever use passive? But here's the thing. It's not a mistake. It's not a weaker choice. It's a precision tool. You use it for a very specific effect.
You pull out the passive voice for strategic reasons. Like, what if you don't know who did the action? My car was stolen. Perfect. Or what if the doer is just irrelevant? The point is that 1,000 hectares were planted. We don't really care who was holding the shovel. It's also, and this is a big one, a key feature of scientific and academic writing. It creates this feeling of objectivity by taking the focus off, I did this, and putting it on, this was done.
This quote right here is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. In a scientific paper, honestly, who cares which specific scientist developed the methods? That's not the point. The point is that the methods exist and are available. By saying they have been developed, you put the focus exactly where it needs to be, on the methods themselves. It just neatly and elegantly gets rid of the who, because the who doesn't matter here.
Okay, now for a quick pro tip. There are 2 special ways the passive voice gets used that you will see all the time in formal writing. And once you can spot them, you'll feel like you've got a secret decoder ring. So, the first is this passive plus infinitive structure. You'll see things like, are known to consist. It's a clever way to report something that's a generally accepted fact or a common belief without having to name who specifically said it. So whenever you read "it is believed that" or "it is said that," what you're really hearing is the formal voice of shared, established knowledge.
And that brings us to our final takeaway. Choosing your focus, choosing your voice. Look, the most important thing to get from all of this is that neither voice is better. One's not good and one's not bad. They're just different tools in your toolkit for different jobs. The real skill is knowing which tool to pull out to get the exact effect you want.
So let's just boil it all down one last time. Active voice, its focus is the doer. It answers the question, who did it? Beekeepers produce honey. Passive voice, its focus is the action or the result. It answers the question, what was done? Honey is produced. It really is that simple. It's just a choice of where you want to shine the light.
And that, right there, is the real power. This was never just about grammar, was it? It's about control. It's about being intentional. It's a conscious choice that you get to make every single time you communicate. So, next time you're writing something, just ask yourself, what's the story I'm trying to tell? And who or what is the star of my show?